All right. Good evening, folks. Bonsoir tout le monde. On va débuter notre réunion. We're going to start our meeting. Je peux voir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, Madame la conseillère Swan-Pennefather. Je m'excuse. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
En voter?
Oh, excuse. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci.
Oui.
Merci. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je propose d'adopter l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire de lundi 25 août 2025, modifié comme suite, en ajoutant le point 10C, demande d'aide financière, développement des collections des bibliothèques publiques autonomes.
Merci. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait. Merci. Approbation des procès-verbaux.
Je propose d'approuver le procès verbal des séances de conseil aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire de 30 juin 2025, séance spéciale de 7 juillet 2025, séance spéciale de 17 juillet 2025, séance spéciale de 24 juillet 2025 et séance spéciale de 7 août 2025.
Merci, la conseillère Swan-Pennefather. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Parfait. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. We're going to move right to the report of the mayor. Good evening, everyone. Bonsoir à tous. To begin my report tonight, I want to mention that the work that is being undertaken on the hump bridge on Westminster. It's not our choice to undertake this work. There are important corrections that need to be undertaken now. We've already received some grumbling letters from the residents that need to use that bridge daily. So to summarize my responses to them. Number one, yes, the work is necessary and can't be delayed. The lane closure going north is the option suggested by the traffic experts that laid out the detours. No, there are no other real options other than Coronation or St. Ignatius to get back to Côte Saint-Luc Road. And though we were ready to undertake the work and have it completed before school restarted, the need for a CP flagman under the bridge dictated when the work could commence. And the work is scheduled to last 4 weeks. Pour commencer mon rapport ce soir, je voudrais mentionner les travaux entrepris sur le pont à Westminster. Nous n'avons pas choisi d'entreprendre ce projet. Il y a des corrections importantes qui doivent être entreprises maintenant. Nous avons déjà reçu quelques lettres de mécontentement de la part des résidents qui doivent emprunter ce pont quotidiennement. Je résume alors mes réponses à ces lettres. 1. Oui, les travaux sont nécessaires et ne peuvent pas être retardés. Faire le détour pour aller vers le nord est une option suggérée par les experts en circulation qui ont établi les déviations. Il n'y a pas d'autre option réelle autre que Coronation ou St. Ignatius pour revenir au chemin de Côte-Saint-Luc. Même si nous étions prêts à entreprendre les travaux et à les terminer avant la reprise de l'école, la nécessité d'avoir des signaleurs de CP sous le pont a dicté le moment où les travaux ont pu commencer. Et les travaux devraient durer 4 semaines. As I've mentioned on numerous occasions, Montreal-Ouest is very fortunate. Though our team is small, they work collaboratively to deliver service to residents. No system is without imperfections, but efforts are made constantly to address the needs of the town. Every day I'm proud of the work they do for us, so I take offense personally when I hear people speak poorly of them. It further infuriates to hear people besmirching and insinuating criminal inappropriateness of council. Making snide remarks while hiding behind the comfort of social media is cowardly at best. You're welcome to make some intelligent remarks after you've lived the reality in person. Comme je l'ai mentionné à plusieurs reprises, Montréal-Ouest est très chanceuse. Bien que notre équipe soit petite, ses membres travaillent en collaboration pour offrir des services aux résidents. Aucun système n'est parfait, mais des efforts sont constamment déployés pour répondre aux besoins de la ville. Chaque jour, je suis fier du travail qu'ils accomplissent pour nous. Je suis donc personnellement offensé lorsque j'entends des gens critiquer l'équipe. Je suis encore plus furieux lorsque j'entends des gens salir ou insinuer que le conseil municipal agit d'une manière criminelle et inappropriée. Faire des remarques sarcastiques en se cachant derrière le confort des réseaux sociaux est au mieux lâche. Vous êtes bienvenus pour les faire des remarques intelligentes après avoir vécu cette réalité en personne. To it, I want to acknowledge some changes in the team. I have no doubt that Councillor Feeney will expound further on this, but I wanted to mention right off the bat that our Director of Recreation and Culture, Paula Cordeau, has decided to retire. After more than 30 years of service to the town and residents, I can only say thank you, Paula. Your devotion has been inspiring. Enjoy your well-deserved time off of work. We are fortunate that our team has built-in depth to replace Paula without major disruption. That team at Recreation has always run as a triumvirate. Chris Carney has been promoted to the Director of Recreation and Culture, and Marion Scully has been promoted to Assistant Director. Congratulations and best of luck to you both. I have no doubt that the department is in great and extremely capable hands as we embark upon a new chapter. À ce propos, je tiens à signaler quelques changements au sein de l'équipe. Je ne doute pas que la conseillère Feeney va nous dire plus, mais je tiens à mentionner d'emblée que notre directrice des loisirs et de la culture, Paula Cordeau, a décidé de prendre sa retraite. Après plus de 30 ans au service de notre ville et de ses habitants, je ne peux que vous dire merci, Paula. Votre dévouement a été une source d'inspiration. Profitez bien de votre retraite bien méritée. Nous avons la recherche d'avoir une équipe suffisamment solide pour remplacer Paula sans perturbation majeure. L'équipe de loisirs a toujours fonctionné comme un triumvirat. Chris Carney a été promu directeur des loisirs et de la culture et Marion Scully a été promue directrice adjointe. Félicitations et bon choix à vous deux. Bonne chance à vous deux, excuse. Je ne doute pas que le service est entre les très bonnes mains alors que nous entamons un nouveau chapitre ensemble. Thank you and please look out for each other. Merci et prenez soin l'un de l'autre. Thank you very much. We'll go back to our meeting. My mouse is finished. Sorry about that, folks. Just a little bit of patience here. All right. So we're going to now have councillors' reports. Reporting from seat number 1 on matters pertaining to public security and Councillor Lauren Small-Pennefather.
Bonsoir tout le monde et merci d'être venu ce soir. Thank you everybody for being here this evening. Just a few of the things that we achieved over the last couple of months from public security. We have fulfilled numerous home surveillance requests for residents that were on holidays, and our dedicated team was out there keeping an eye on those homes. This is a service that we offer year-round if people are not aware. Nous avons répondu de nombreuses demandes de surveillance domiciliaire pour les résidents qui étaient en vacances et notre équipe dévouée à veiller sur ces maisons. Il s'agit d'un service que nous offrons toute l'année. We also assisted in this year's Canada Day festivities and parade. It was successful and there was incident-free, which we're very thankful for. And the monumental help, of course, provided by the SPVM for the parade traffic rerouting and for security provided in the park between the SPVM and our dedicated public security officers. The PSOs also received some important additional training from the prosecutor's office at the municipal court. This training was specific to municipal bylaw infractions, such as the best practices for documenting, collecting, and presenting evidence to the court. Les agents de sécurité publique ont également suivi une formation supplémentaire dépensée par un bureau des procureurs de tribunal municipal. Cette formation portait spécifiquement sur les infractions aux règlements municipaux, telles que les meilleures pratiques en matière de documentation, de collecte et de présentation des preuves au tribunal. We have also issued some warnings and or citations for a few properties in the town, as well for nuanced violations for items such as unkept lawns, which has very high grass, junk accumulation, including some abandoned vehicles. We will also be monitoring the hump bridge, as the mayor referred to, with regards to the work for next month, and we've had some issues that we're continuing to correct. So if you do have some feedback, or if you noted something with regards to signage, that's super helpful. Of course, motorists that do not obey the posted signage, such as no entry signs and obligatory turns. The police have also been on scene at few occasions issuing some tickets. Nous surveillons de continuer de servir des travaux sur le pont à Bosse au cours des mois prochains. Nous avons rencontré quelques problèmes qui ont été corrigés la semaine dernière et les ajustements seront apportés au fur et à mesure de l'avancement des travaux. Mais le principal problème provient des automobilistes qui ne respectent pas la signalisation, comme les panneaux d'interdiction d'entrée et les virages obligatoires. La police est rendue sur place à plusieurs reprises pour dresser des contraventions. We have also increased our patrolling in our municipal parks. If people are not aware, you shouldn't be in the parks after 10 o'clock since the beginning of the season, especially at night, in order to help discourage any illegal activities such as the consumption of drugs and alcohol. Nous avons également renforcé des patrouilles dans nos parcs municipaux depuis le début de saison, en particulier la nuit, afin de décourager les activités illégales telles la consommation de drogue et d'alcool. The PSOs are also preparing for increased presence of our 3 of our schools when school starts next week. So of course, you know that we're very proud to boast 3 EMSB schools in our town. And of course, we want to make sure when we go back to school that everybody's taking the precautions that they need to, and we need to remember that we need to cohabitate as pedestrians, as motorists, as cyclists in our town. We also have noticed that they've completed the work, EXO completed the work on Sherbrooke near Westminster, which I think has come aligned very nicely. And I also think because if you've seen some of the curves that have come out, it's also going to add some additional safety concerns that we have in the area as well. So we're very happy that EXO has completed the work in that area. SPVM crime stats for 2025 so far. We are still grouped with the entire PDQ, which means that all of our stats are grouped with Hampstead, Montréal-Ouest, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, and Côte-Saint-Luc. So it's very difficult for us to be able to distill specifically what is particular to Montréal-Ouest, but we continue to get information from our SPVM. They do sit on our community safety committee as well as work with our public security officers as well, which is very important. And it looks like criminal activity is down slightly in comparison in the same trimester in 2024, and the highway safety code infractions have increased. So there's more presence of the SPVM. They're able to give out more infractions, which will help obviously with some of the issues that we are encountering in our town. It is important to note that the stats continue to be grouped. And the crimes that we were aware of for May 2025 was that we had some theft of lumber from a resident on Valentine South that were doing some construction on a deck, and some of their property was stolen, and a police report was filed. And I just wanted to reiterate again that if you do have some kind of an issue, if it's an emergency issue, to please make sure to call 911, to call the police. If it's something more administrative in nature, you can also call the police station. And we always keep the public security informed as well. I do want to make a final note about our dogs in our town. There have been some incidents where there have been some infractions in terms of the bylaw. Just to be careful to be able to control your dogs. It's really important that we do so. There's new provincial legislation from 2020 that is now enacted that is very, very serious in terms of dog bites, whether it's to another dog, another animal, or to a human as well. So just the town does not have a lot of leeway in the way that we're able to intervene with that. So please make sure, because it can go from something as simple as a muzzle to something much more serious if there's repeated offenses by dogs in the town. So just please make sure your dogs continue to be leashed. Please make sure if you do have a dog that's on your property that they can't get onto public areas where other people walk their dogs. I think that's just really important to keep in mind. And again, just wishing everybody a wonderful back to school, rentrée scolaire. And again, thank you for coming. And if you do have any comments or questions, please reach out to me. You can find my email address on the town page. Merci.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Reporting from seat number 2 on matters pertaining to public works, communications, and the environment, Councillor Elizabeth Hewlin, please.
Bonsoir à tous. Hello, everybody. So our public works teams and contractors have been busy this month reconstructing sidewalks on Easton, Valentine South, Westminster, Northview, Roxton, and near Edinburgh School. They also proactively sealed dozens of emerging street cracks around town to help maintain the road surface for the coming winter and later in the spring thaw. In that same vein, asphalt and catch basin repairs were undertaken throughout the town, and the same task will be keeping the team occupied for much of September too, as there's still a lot of road issues like water breaks and broken pipes to be resolved before the winter. The months of July and August have been very active for the Environmental Department. Our Summer Green Patrol devoted many hours to door-to-door awareness campaigns, focusing on waste sorting and other environmental efforts. You may have seen them come to your door at some point this summer. They also reached more than 240 day campers through fun and engaging activities on various environmental issues. The regular Environmental Department worked on tree canopy issues and tree maintenance, including the identification of stumps to be removed to allow for future planting. The Environmental Action Committee, or EAC, was on hiatus this summer, but plans to get back to their many projects in September, including the Indigenous Garden Contest, the annual clothing swap, and many other sustainability initiatives. Le service de communication travaille sur divers projets, notamment sur les communications entourant les prochaines élections municipales, la sécurité routière, la promotion de la programmation automnale des loisirs, ainsi que la campagne de financement de nouveaux centres sportifs et récréatifs. And that's it for me. I'd be happy to answer your questions during question period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Reporting from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to finance, recreation, and topics related to the status of an age-friendly municipality, Councillor Colleen Feeney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir. I'm going to start off with the finance portfolio. The water meter cards are going to be mailed out on September the 3rd, and all your water meter readings are due on September 26th. We really encourage you to submit your readings online. And if you have difficulty reading it, you can just take a photo of the meter and send that in. Water tax bills will then be mailed out on October 21st with the due date on November the 20th. And these dates are also in the Informer and the e-bulletin. We have started the process of sale for non-payment of taxes. So notices of unpaid taxes for 2023 and 2024 property taxes were sent out on August the 8th and the 22nd. The 2023 balances must be paid by September 19th, and the residents have until September 5th to sign an agreement with the Treasury Department in the town for unpaid 2024 taxes to avoid public notice. The town hall offices will be closed Monday, September 1st for Labor Day. Les bureaux de la ville seront fermés le lundi 3 septembre pour la fête du travail. You'll hear later in the meeting that we are going to be passing disbursements of over $3 million. In fact, $3,661,454. And this is taxpayers' money, so I'd like to give you an idea where your money is being spent. The largest part of these expenditures, this is actually for 2 months, so this is one of the highest bills that we do get over the whole year. $2.2 million of this was spent on the recreation center, of which $2 million was for SAJO. About $456,000 was for benefits and deductions at source. Another $250,000 was for infrastructure work, and that includes Westminster Bridge, Town Hall stairs, and electrical entry, and the water break on Avon. $110,000 was for sidewalk repairs. $63,000 was for the second installment of the CMM, which is the larger Aglo area, which includes South Shore. $52,000 was for various contracts, including line marking and asphalt sealing. $43,000 for garbage, recycling, and compost, and $38,000 for other outside contracts, including electrical, plumbing, lighting, etc. And $32,000 for insurance, mainly cyber insurance renewal. Those are the big amounts for this past month. I'll move on now to recreation. In the special events category, on September 21st, we're having a pop-up event in Davies Park from 10 to 2, where we will have Shawnee and Diego Ramos. And there'll be vendors, food for sale, and of course, children's activities. The community center, we have registration for our fall 2025, winter and spring 2026 programs is all open. The early bird prices end on August the 29th, and the fall programs will begin on September the 8th. Please see all the listings, especially new programs that are listed on Amelia. There will be a drop-in course for Baby and Me on September the 13th with music by Shawnee. A parents' night out on Friday, September the 19th. First aid course, Sunday, the 28th of September, and a Red Cross babysitting course on Sunday, October the 5th. Les inscriptions aux activités d'automne, d'hiver et de printemps sont maintenant ouvertes. Le prix spécial des préinscriptions aux 3 sessions sera en vigueur jusqu'au 29 août. S'il vous plaît, consultez la brochure en ligne pour tous les détails. In terms of the camp season ended with a bang with our annual Camp Bash with over 200 participants at our variety show featuring a number of skits, dances, and comedy. Over 350 kids participated in the camp this summer, and a big thank you to our camp coordinator, Isabella Polizzini, and her staff for ensuring another successful, safe, and fun summer for our kids at camp. At the pool, even without a pool of our own, we maintained the aquatics program this summer with the support of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. With over 200 participants in our swim and dive teams, aquafit, and masters programs, we managed to keep the swim community spirit alive. Thank you to all our coaches, teachers, and volunteers who made this happen. Merci à tous les entraîneurs, enseignants et bénévoles qui ont rendu cela possible. See you all next year at our new pool. For the seniors portfolio, the seniors had several activities this summer, including a barbecue, a theater trip, intergenerational tea, among others. Also, a new line dancing class for seniors was started in August. This was suggested out of the seniors consultation in May, and the Recreation Department managed to find a great teacher and offer a few classes for free to whet everyone's interest. It was so popular that it's now going to be a regular class in the fall. I think there's still a few places left if you want to register. Upcoming activities for seniors, including a free MAD lecture on September 10th at 1:30 in the music room. Alana Greenberg, a notary, will discuss information about living wills and estate settlements. There's another theater trip and luncheon on September the 16th to Morrisburg to see the play called Hurry Hard. And then there will be a senior brunch on September 18th at the community center. Please sign up for all these activities on Amelia. And finally, as the mayor has already mentioned, I want to say a few special notes about Paula Cordeau as well, the director of recreation that probably knows almost everybody in this town. She's been working for the town for over 30 years, and she has decided to take a well-deserved retirement. For so many years, she has been the heart and soul of the recreation department, but also a vital part of our community and our community spirit. She's always been open to new suggestions and activities, and she's been a crusader in so many areas, including our new Sports and Recreation Center. Paula, you will be sorely missed, but I expect that you will be back with us, cheering us on as we move forward. On a personal note, one of the first classes that Paula started was a toddler's toddler's music class, and I, as the young mother, brought our daughter. That was one of the first classes she ever went to in the town. She loved it, and we've all been going to classes ever since, including me trying to keep up with Paulette fitness classes, and like many kids in town, my three daughters have all worked for the town in various responsibilities and day camp, and we've known Paula in so many ways. It's more like she's a friend than an employee. So we are very lucky, Paula, that we've had you for all these years. We thank you so much for all your work. It's been an honor to be working with you, both on council and as a friend and participant and young mum. But in true form, Paula was very good with all her planning, and she set up for her succession very well. And so the department will be in the very capable hands of Chris Carney and Marion Scully as assistant manager. Both have worked with Paula for years, and they're well trained in her methods of communication and austerity. So best wishes for a very happy and healthy retirement, Paula, from myself, from council, and from my family. I know we'll see you around. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at the meeting or send me an email. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Reporting from seat number 4 on matters pertaining to urban planning, Councillor Maria Torres.
Thank you. Good evening and bonsoir à tous. Over the past 2 months, the Urban Planning Department had issued 80 permits for various projects, primarily for property renovations and public domain interventions. The next Planning Advisory Committee meetings are scheduled for September the 10th and the 24th. Please ensure that you submit your complete application at least 2 weeks before the deadline. Au cours de les 2 derniers mois, les services de l'urbanisme a délivré 80 permis pour divers projets, principalement des rénovations immobilières et des interventions sur leur domaine public. Les prochaines réunions du comité consultatif d'urbanisme sont prévues le 10 et 24 septembre. Veuillez vous assurer de soumettre votre dossier complet au moins 12 semaines avant la date limite. During this time, the last 2 months I referred, the department issued 5 notices, all for work carried out without permits. And today I want to talk to you about this because this is a growing problem in Montreal-West. We have more and more residents not asking for permits to do renovation or work at their house, or very simply they don't comply with the permits that the work was issued for. I want to say that most Montreal-West residents do ask for permits, so this is a minority. However, of this minority, once they get a notice for doing work without their permits, they remedy the situation right away. That is fine. However, there is a small group that has become very loud, very public. They talk to everybody, and it makes the situation a little bit uncomfortable and more difficult. They take a lot of our time and a lot of our resources. We have one person alone in the urban planning department, and he's supposed to do everything. Well, he cannot be after everybody. By the time they get to me, they're really yelling and screaming and very upset about the whole system. Listen, they say these are guidelines. They are not guidelines. These are bylaws. They say their neighbors did it. Sorry, that's not a good reason. If you do not agree with the bylaw, please come to us before you decide to break it. We have an example. We have a resident about a year or 2 years ago wanted to use a material that it was not included in a bylaw. He came to us, explained to us the environmental issues. It was the material itself has become a lot more beautiful than it used to be, and he asked us to change. We reviewed it and decided to amend that bylaw. Then he proceeded to do the changes that it needed to be done. That was an exception, but I like to use it because that's the way that we should be doing things. I like to remind everybody that bylaws are municipal regulations that must be adhered to. Compliances is not optional. If you disagree with the bylaw, please bring it to our attention before proceeding with the work. Lastly, I want to highlight something that some of these cases end in court. And when we go to court, each case costs thousands and thousands of dollars. This is our tax money going there. So I appreciate if everybody, please apply for your permits and tell your neighbors to apply for their permits. So today's message is very simple. Please get your permits. That's all for me tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. We're going to move to question period right away. So question period, after we will answer questions from the floor for a maximum of 25 minutes. We'll limit it to 2 questions per person. A short preamble, your first question, and a follow-up question if you want. I'll remind you, it's a question period and not a debate period. Après les questions de la salle, nous répondrons aux questions des résidents qui avaient été soumis en ligne jusqu'à 14 heures aujourd'hui sur n'importe quel sujet. Les mêmes règles s'appliquent. 25 minutes au total et 2 questions par personne maximum. In the second question period, we'll be taking questions pertaining to the agenda submitted via our website during the meeting. We will limit it to 10 minutes from the floor and 10 minutes online. Please, go ahead, sir. State your name and your address, and you ask your question.
Michael Schinder, 35 East End. I understand, I guess it's the case that there's going to be a project to not allow left turns onto Westminster from Sherbrooke and Broughton. Is that still ongoing plan?
There will be, you will not be allowed to make left turns from Broughton onto Sherbrooke, or, from Broughton onto Westminster, or from Sherbrooke onto Westminster.
So my question concerns the area of the city that's west of Westminster, south of the tracks. So we're speaking of Fenwick, Easton, Ainslie, Rennie, Campbell, Strathern, so on. So my question is, for example, someone's in the parking lot at Farmer Prix, and they want to go to Ainslie and Sherbrooke to get Ainslie and Westminster, sorry, to get to their home. So in the analysis, is there now the new time that it will take to get from, again, the parking lot at Pharmacy, for example, or Concordia, wherever, but again, I'm talking about somewhere inside Montreal-West to begin with, to get to the corner of Westminster and Ainslie, which is normally about 30 seconds or so. What is the analysis in the studies that we haven't seen that shows the new time it will take to get there by whatever roads that have to be taken for that purpose?
The studies did not measure the time, Mr. Schinder. The studies measured where the problematic transactions were, where the problematic motions were. So there have not been studies to measure the elapsed new time that's going to take. That being said, the whole project is being set up as a pilot program, a pilot project, to be able to address the questions that you're raising. It's a valid question you're raising. Somebody that's coming out of the parking lot of the Pharmaprix, how are they going to go south onto Westminster? The idea is not necessarily to have them go through the streets on Brock or anything like that. We have to see what exactly happens when these cars figure out the way they're going. Where are they going to go? And then we have to address those accordingly.
Your question is my question. Where are they going to go? That's what I'm asking.
We have to see when we implement the pilot project.
Shouldn't it be determined and assessed with our excellent experts before that they can assess if that would be closed, where the cars would go, what would be the extra time? For example, coming from Concordia, we all know that there is a 2-block wait to turn left on Elmhurst. The traffic often goes all the way to West Broadway. So if someone's just coming from Concordia, instead of just, instead of going to Sherbrooke, Westminster, they would be forced there or forced up. But that should be part of the analysis, before the pilot project is enacted.
And the pilot, again, I'm not here to debate with you, Mr. Schinder. I'm telling you that the engineers, they decided that this was the best course of action to start with. Are the people going to make the left coming out of that parking lot and go to Elmhurst? There are changes that NDG is also making. Again, all of that's going to figure into all of this.
I know this is not a debate, but the traffic expert only answers the questions that are asked to them. The other point is, on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, there is no school at the high school. There are very few trains. In this pilot project, we still will be unable to turn left on Saturday morning or Saturday evening or Sunday afternoon?
As the project is stated right now, that it's not just a Monday to Friday prohibition, it's a prohibition in general.
Why is that not on weekends allowed?
Because we do not have police to enforce that they're allowed to do it on the Saturday, Sunday, and they're not allowed to do it on the Monday to Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ken Sildana, and we live on 453 Ballantyne Avenue North. So my question, actually, if you bear with me, just briefly describing the situation. This is a personal thing that we've encountered. We bought our property in 2000, which was 25 years ago, obviously. And at the time, there was a tree that was planted by the city. And the tree is a linden tree. And over the years, as we all know, if you're familiar with a linden tree, all through the summer period, whether it's from spring right up to the fall, there's constant stuff that comes out from that tree. So initially it starts off with flowers, and that kind of goes, because the tree is so high, it goes all over our house. Then you've got the fruit nutlets, the fruits, and there are all these wingspans that go through. And over the last several years, ultimately, because of the sap, the sap is ultimately the sugar that the tree leaves have, which attracts aphids, and the aphids manifest, and anything excess sugar gets onto the vehicles. The tree over the years has not only covered our lawn, it's covered most of our driveway, and also our neighbors, which has 455 Ballantyne. And so what has happened over the years is that the sap gets onto the vehicles, and both my wife's and my cars, we drive luxury vehicles, whether it's a BMW or whatever, but we've had constant issues. And the bigger issue with this is the wasps. It attracts wasps, and they sit on the glass. And maybe 10 years ago, my son, who was at Loyola at the time, was bitten by a wasp. And I complained to the city. I got no responses at the time. This is going back several years. So much so I had to initiate a lawyer's notice. And then I got someone to respond. Subsequently, I was told that an arborist came in, checked. The tree is healthy. They can't do anything about it, and we have to continue to live with it. Now, it's 25 years later. I've got gray hair. My son's grown, but my wife's getting older. Every year, I have to go up on the roof, pay or clean the roof myself. The lawn's not growing because of the sap. The cars, we have to pay $50, believe it or not, each time to wash the sap, because they tell us you cannot just use water to wash the sap away. And then the menace of the wasps that are still there. Mr. Mayor, my question is, if any of the team here had to live with this for the last 25 years, with the linden tree on their front lawn, how would you react and what would you do? The second question is, will the city pay us, compensate us for 25 years of expenses that we have occurred, plus the damage to the cars? I mean, we have in fact brought covers like what you would do in winter for the snow, and we were told that you have to cover your car as one of the solution. And we were a laughing stock to the neighbors. I cannot believe it, that living on 453 Ballantyne North, that we had our cars covered because they were luxury vehicles and we could not do anything about it. And my last question is, we pay diligently our taxes almost close to $10,000 now a year. What and how can we expect the city to take care of us, having lived there for 25 years, and as we are getting older, I don't believe I have the capacity or my wife to clean up and do all of the stuff that we've had to do. I thank you for your patience and your time, and I do appreciate, if you can please respond to these questions, because it's a serious issue, and I've tried to do this. One thing I must add, the city acted for the last 3 years. They sent somebody to do the spray for the aphids, and we were grateful for that. It didn't take care of the problem, though, because the person from underneath is standing down and shooting up spray. The tree's well over our roof, and so nothing happens to the top, only the bottom. And this year, nothing has happened, and that's why I'm here to voice my concerns and would appreciate if you guys could do something about it. Thank you.
And I wish I could say it's the first time I'm hearing of this. It's not. I've heard actually from some of your neighbors. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to reach out to you and see what we can do, to get Public Works a little bit more involved, have the tree reevaluated, and Elizabeth, maybe you could pass that along to Public Works, but B, to see if there's something we can do to help alleviate some of the problems that you've come to. And I think we may have spoken to some of your other neighbors, and we'll see what kind of solutions we can come up with. If you're okay to have that patience, I'll reach out to you within the next day or so, and we'll see if we can have a little bit of a conversation. In the meantime, parallel to that, we'll speak to Public Works to see what they can do to help alleviate the problem.
Appreciate that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
And also, we offered to cut down the tree at our cost, and that we would pay to put in a new tree at our cost, and even that was rejected. So we really need your help. Thank you.
Let's see what we can work out, okay, sir? Thank you for your questions.
Hi, Stan Carney, Wolseley North. I had to show up because I couldn't trust the audio system on the video. Mr. Lynn, you wanted questions about Public Works? Well, here they come. Street cleaning and the sweeper. I've noticed many more times no service on Tuesdays than service this year so far. Cars are respecting the no parking times for nothing because no service, no sweeper. It's a big inconvenience to people and a lack of respect, not to mention the service. I had a problem with a limb on the city tree in front of my house. I sent an email 7 weeks ago about a possible dangerous situation. I received a bureaucratic answer about how busy they were. They would come when they could. So what they did is 3 times they put up no parking sandwich signs and removed them a week later. And each time, again, it's an inconvenience to residents because they have to go and park elsewhere. Now, I noticed there's a subcontractor doing the tree pruning. We used to have an employee who was quite good at it, and we haven't seen the bucket being used to fell or trim trees. What happened to that person? And now, who decides if tree is dangerous, sick, or needs trimming? And lastly, and not least, there's a stop sign with a concrete base in front of the Patisserie de la Gare. It's been askew for 3 weeks. Public Works would pass by daily, and nothing was done for 3 weeks. Public Security would pass by every day for 3 weeks, and nothing was done. Finally, they had to remove it because they were working on Westminster. You know what? I showed up here 41 years ago, and we used to have good service from Public Works. Now it's a bureaucracy. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth, can you answer those questions?
Sure, I'll try to. Stan, do you want me to answer some of the questions? Okay. So, in terms of the arborist, or we used to have Chris Robinson, he was now working for another town, so that's where he's gone. We don't have somebody who is a certified arborist in the town anymore, which is why we subcontract that out to another company. So we have another company doing that tree maintenance and tree felling when that's needed. Also, we have another company that does tree inspections. I'm not sure where this sign was that you said. Could you repeat that?
Right in front of Patisserie de la Gare, going northbound, separating the eastern part and the western part. It was a cement block base, rectangular, with stop sign right in the middle of the road.
Okay, so
Now, when the service trucks used to park for the pharmacy, the large truck, you had very little maneuver room. For 3 weeks,
okay.
nobody moved the bloody thing. All it would take it was 2 guys, stop the traffic, and just straighten it.
Okay, well, I can certainly inquire as to what was going on there. I don't know off the top of my head what that was, but I'll certainly inquire about that. You mentioned a branch that you had some issues with.
Live in front of my house on a public tree that I could put my fist through. They trimmed the branch many years ago. Now there's a knot, and it's
Right.
all hollow.
Okay, so if there's what
I got a bureaucratic answer from the environmentalist.
right.
We really need an environmentalist. We need a tree.
Okay, so what we do in that case is we have somebody go by and have a look at it. I will inquire to see if somebody's gone by to have a look at it and what the issue is there, and can get back to you on that.
7 weeks ago. All I asked was, what do you think of the situation?
Okay.
Keep me posted.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't want some kid to be
Lastly, or I think the first thing you asked was about why the street sweeper doesn't come every week. The street sweeper doesn't actually necessarily come every week. We have the ability to do the street when the signs indicate there's no parking there, but that doesn't guarantee that the street sweeper is going to go by every single week. Well, that's the way it's always been. So there's nothing new there.
For 41 years, I've seen the thing go back and forth every Tuesday.
Well, it will go as required.
Okay, Mr. Carney, she's answering your question. It's not a debate. She's answering your question.
It's not a debate, but it's a debate when somebody else is debating, right?
Councillor Lewis? You finished?
I'm done, yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, Joanna Dewey, 232 Percival. I was just wondering if we could get an update on the PAFSR grant, whether it got submitted and whether there's been any update.
You got it, Councillor?
I think so. And I'll go to our town DG if I'm missing anything. Thank you for your question, Joanna. So yes, we did resubmit everything, as you're aware. We had some correspondence on that, so we were able to go and resubmit the application based on the new criteria that they had developed, as well as our M&A. As you know, M&A McGraw is also involved in that, but we have not had any feedback since we've made the new submission. So I think the window closed on July, quand c'était fermé, du 7 juillet? Yeah, so it closed on the 17th of July. And, you know, we'll send a follow-up to see where it stands on. But as I said, regardless if we get the grant money, we'll still proceed with the necessary changes that we need to make that Westminster corridor safer in those particular areas. Particularly right now is, as you know, the priority is on the level crossing, and then of course addressing the Ainsley and Westminster.
Okay, great. And can I just ask a follow-up that's not entirely related, but somewhat on the same topic? Has there been any update from the AGLO on bike path planning?
That I don't know. I'm going to turn to another colleague for that.
Actually, meetings coming up the beginning of September.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and if I could just make one comment just about, I think, Mr. Carney's comment. I just don't know if everybody's aware, but when you submit something to a department, council is not CC'd on that automatically. So if you do not get a follow-up, and it's been a few weeks, please make sure to then go back and click on a counselor or to the mayor or to several counselors, because we don't know what goes into the departments unless we're advised. So just a little tip to people: if you're not getting feedback and it's been a while, please then clue in council members so that we're able to do some follow-up on your behalf. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, members of council and mayor. Thank you for the meeting tonight. So my name is Victor Gonzalez for 28 Radcliffe. So my question is regarding the Westminster overpass work that's being done. And I do want to thank the town for the work being done, because it is important work that needs to be done on the overpass. At the same time, I wanted to thank the SPVM and public security for their increased patrols to improve the safety of the corridor there. So the question would be, with the different ongoing issues that began since the construction project last week, with drivers speeding on the southbound lane or driving into it illegally from going northbound illegally onto the overpass, almost causing a collision with an STM bus, at least on 2 occasions that I observed. There was a vehicle from Bonjour Taxi that parked illegally on Northview last week, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday, for about 15 minutes after arguing with the contractors. And the last part of the question is, with back to school and Labor Day coming, are there any additional safety measures that the town is putting in place just to ensure the safety of the children? Because as you may know, a lot of children go to Elizabeth Ballantyne or to Edinburgh and they walk alone. Not all of them walk with their parents. So with the increased traffic in the moment and vehicles not necessarily respecting the road signage or the construction crews or anything like that, it does create an increased safety risk for children. So will there be any additional measures put in place for that?
So I'll just answer some of them, and I don't know if you want to jump in afterwards, Lauren. So I know that I remarked about certain things that I thought they needed to do, and I know that they sent out our project manager for it, our assistant director of public works. He went out and he also looked and he noted some things. Okay. I think they want to get those proposed modifications okayed by the person who did the plan, and then they'll put them into place. Okay, so I don't know what the list that they're going to present to this person, but I know that they want to get it okayed by the person who did the original layout for it. Okay?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, and I think, and the reason I asked the question, just to clarify, is at the end of the day, like, the contractors they're highly trained in what they do, and they're doing a lot of great work for that project, but at the same time, they're It's good to have as much possible oversight from the town, just because they're not experts in traffic mobility,
Yeah.
Safety,
And like I said,
So-
that's why we noticed a few
Yeah.
things, and they want to get them run by the person who did the layout.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And the second question is, half of it is in relation to the public security portfolio and then public works. So on August 2nd, I escalated a concern as a citizen to public security. Had to do with one of the public works contractors, SFA, that was doing the which is one of your contractors that was doing the refilling of the cracks across the town. So on August 2nd, from around 6 a.m. approximately up until like around 9:30 that day, the contractors, they parked on the intersection of Radcliffe and Hudson, right in the middle on going this way. So they parked there for about 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. They did absolutely no work. All they were doing was getting all their materials off the truck, rearranging all the stuff around the truck, and then putting their mixture for the tar mixture into their cooker. So that's something that really could have been done somewhere else. They could have done it at their lot, or they could have picked a safer place to do it. The PSO on shift that day did come, as did the lieutenant, to verify what happened that morning. They did talk to the contractor, and the contractor didn't really provide any reason as to why they decided to prepare all their work on that intersection, which was blocking traffic, especially for larger vehicles. So it created a lot of safety hazards. So my question was, did public security did escalate it to public works, but I never heard back from public works as far as if they actually followed up with the contractors, just to make sure that they're putting in better practices as far as how they prepare their material and work. Because, like I said, it could have been done in a safer space that didn't take up an intersection when they actually did zero work. That day on Radcliffe, no work was done other than setting up their trucks. So that was my second question.
Elizabeth, can I ask you to follow up with Public Works to see if they were in touch with the contractor?
Sure,
please?
I'll follow that up. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Cynthia Nichols, 25 Westminster South. Very tired. It's been a long evening. Two questions. Small preamble. The pipe that was fixed here by the bus stop on Avon, that was streaming down, for 2 weeks there was a giant pit of stagnating water. It was probably about 6 to 8 feet deep, and believe it or not, while that pipe was running, my water was very good. Since this has been repaired, it's been what, about a week or so now, maybe a week and a half. Believe it or not, is there a connection from whatever's happening here to my house? That's what I'd like to know.
In terms of the quality of the water, ma'am? or-
Definitely.
Okay, well, it's the same.
It's foul, smelling, and there's a lot of stuff in it. I don't even know what it is.
I can't imagine that the work that happened here, if you would have told me that it was worse, I could actually believe that a little bit more.
Exactly. That's my
But
point.
that was better. I
That's
can't
my
imagine,
point.
I can't have
Well,
any explanation for that.
And
Elizabeth, if you could just maybe follow up with Public Works to see if they have some kind of an explanation why that might happen.
I'm just wondering if that water that was stagnating, if there isn't some sort of little pit down there holding this water and
No,
it's
no,
leaking.
there's no pit down there.
Well, this has happened before. Do you remember Sherbrooke? That wasn't that long ago when we ended up with the second or third sinkhole. So I'm just saying, things happen. Second question, there's so much change within town in recent years. I'm just wondering, do we have a map of the redrawn, repositioned, resold? Do we have that?
Actually,
I'd like to see that.
that's one of the things that,
Because-
one of the challenges that we faced is when we came out of demerger, we didn't have any base plans. So that we actually had some people doing a lot of base plans, everything from where the lots are, where the manholes are, where the poles are. They call it geomatics. So we had a lot of that stuff done by some team of students putting these plans together. And with the changes, like you're saying, selling lots and things like that, that's something that our urban department keeps on top
So
of.
when, third question, when did they do this work?
Oh,
when
the
did they carry
geomatics
out
were
this
done,
geomatic?
gosh, they started 6-7 years ago.
Yeah.
We had
Okay.
students in for a couple of years doing the work. So,
Okay.
And I believe it is still an ongoing project. They're
Oh.
always updating all the information and
Okay,
putting
thank
in
you.
new information, yes.
So how do I find that information? Is there any way to get that information?
No, I think Public Works has all that information, but they use it internally to know where all the pipes are, where all the cables are, and they use it for their work. I don't think it's,
Okay, so we can't have access to that.
I don't think so. I
Even
think
with
it's a
access
working,
to information?
well, I think it's something they use for work, to be able to, I don't think it has any interest for the public, yeah.
Really? I
Well-
think it does. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Quick question in reference to the gentleman's question with the Hum Bridge. Will there be a crossing guard put at the foot of the bridge for the
On-
school children?
On the north side, Mr.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if
Because
that's.
when they're coming down, you know,
Yeah.
it's true what he says. A lot of them just, Americans stop, they go right through. And with kids going back to school there,
Yeah.
a crossing guard might be worth the expense.
Well, it's
for a
not,
month.
crossing guards unfortunately are not our expense. They're with the police department, and they're the ones who decide where the crossing guards are. Now, is that to say that our public security isn't going to be there a little bit more often to help make sure that people are making stop signs or a little bit more aware of things?
But I thought you had a good term with the commander at the state.
We do, but we tried, we have people in the audience looking to get crossing guards over here at Ainsley. Very clearly told us that crossing guards, if they give us a crossing guard one place, they're taking them away from somewhere else.
I'll see what I could do for you.
Yes.
Mr. Carney, I do speak often with the commandant from Station 9. I'm happy to flag it with him and see if there's something that they can do, because it's a very short period of time, and just express our concerns that, you know, the CFST has done as a...
People like go and visit him.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
he'll
you
be
know, there is, Mr. Carney, I think I have your email. I can send you, because they do respond to residents. I can send you the site that you can go to if you want it. It does help when more residents do complain and say, you know, because it's a short period raccourci, maybe they would be open to it, but I'm happy to give him a call. I don't know if he's back from vacation yet, but I'm happy to give him a call and ask him if they may be able to make an exception for the short amount of time.
There you go. Now
Okay.
we're talking.
Okay.
Thank you,
C'est
sir.
bon. Merci, Carney. Mr. Carney.
If there's no more questions from the room, we'll move to questions that were submitted online. First question comes from Scott Miller, 65 Brock North. As the arena construction winds down, can the town consider extending its lease of the parking area next to the public service building for town recreation purposes, such as an outdoor pickleball? If budget is an issue, could the town consider extending ice use privileges on a discounted base to the school board that leases this area to the town? Councillor Feeney, please.
Yes, thank you very much for your question, Scott. Well, I have to say, as a new pickleball player myself, I would really love to see some outdoor courts. So maybe that's in the future, but for now, the first thing is we'd have to make sure that we can actually renew that lease. It is the EMSB land, so we'll see what we can do about renewing a portion of it, and then we'll have to figure out what the best use of that land is. I think once we complete our recreation center, we probably will take a good look at our sports facilities and see if we need to do a general review there. So pickleball's up and coming, so who knows? Let's hope. But with our new gym in the new recreation center, we will have indoor pickleball, which will be available now during the day, I imagine. So it's currently available at night at the schools, but now that we have our own gym, we'll have more hours to play. So that's a positive thing. And on your second question about the school board, could we make an entente with them? We actually already do have an entente with the school boards for use of their facilities and their use of our facilities, including our ice rink. So thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much. Question from Karen Christensen, 8019 Avon, Councillor Small Pennefather's response to the RWA Parent Participation Organization's letter concerning safety enhancement to the Ainsley Crossing said that changes would be made with an aim to implement them before the return to school in the fall. As school starts next Tuesday, what are the plans to improve safety at the crossing, and when will they happen? Councillor Small Pennefather.
Okay, thank you for your question, Karen. And yes, I did respond on July the 1st following a council meeting at the end of June. Thank you for the suggestions that you've made. So the signage is one of the easier ones, and we said that we would do an evaluation. So the signage hopefully will be in place shortly, and I cannot guarantee, considering that it's next Tuesday, that the signage will be in place by then. Some of the other measures that were suggested, we're still evaluating them. As I said, barring any issues, we should be able to implement some of those changes. But again, we're hoping to have the signs installed as soon as possible. Thank you for your patience and again for your suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philip Bergeron, 23 Garden. Hello, Council. Thank you for everything that you do. I don't think you hear it enough. Question. Regarding the Westminster Bridge, the hump, repairs, lane closure going north, was the repairs ever considered to be performed during the summer months? This lane closure will cause a huge headache for all the back to school and work routine. Other problems, school buses, Des Amis du Monde and Edinburgh, that serve clientele on both sides of the CP tracks will incur huge delays. On the bright side, the thoroughfare traffic, the throughfare traffic to skip Westminster Côte St. Luc Boulevard intersection has greatly diminished in my neighborhood. Hooray. So, Mr. Bergeron, at the beginning of the meeting, I stated that we were ready to do the work during the summer to have it finished before the school year started. Unfortunately, we're bound by CP and when they were able to give us a signaler. Because some of the work is being undertaken underneath the bridge, anytime we have to have people there, they have to have a flagman, and that flagman has to come from CP. And they were only able to give us a flagman starting last week when we started the work. In terms of the other things, the school buses and things like that, they're probably aware already that this has gone on. It's not going to be a surprise to them. And for 2 or 3 weeks probably into the school year, they'll have to go around on the detours. Thank you for your question. Next question from Roy Hoffman, 133 Percival. What is the current best estimate when we will have a functioning ice hockey rink? And 2, is it virtually guaranteed that we will have a functioning swimming pool by early June 2026? Councillor Feeney, please.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much for your question, Roy. Our current estimates are now that it'll probably be mid-January before we have a 100% opening of the new recreation center, and by that I mean everything operational with the offices in place and all the equipment, et cetera, all the staffing. We're hoping there may be a soft opening a little bit earlier than that, but we can't make any promises. And yes, we certainly are looking forward to a new pool next summer. So thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much. Franco Forlini, 61 Brock North. I guess he left already. Question 1, there was no mention of using quantitative data to assess the outcomes of the traffic pilot project. Will the town be obtaining baseline data for traffic flow on Westminster and all the side streets before the pilot project begins, which can then be compared to values during the project? And once the left turns off of Sherbrooke onto Westminster are prohibited, traffic will find alternate bypass routes to get to Westminster, as they did this summer. The main detour will likely be up Brock along Curzon. Will Brock be closed at Sherbrooke as was done this summer? As I mentioned to the gentleman that asked in the room, there was quantitative data that was taken as a baseline for the project. What happens when people are finding other routes? We'll see that as we're going along. In terms of your question about stopping Brock or closing Brock, that was not something that Montreal-West did. That was something that the City of Montreal did when they were doing that work in front of the pipe work on Sherbrooke between Connaught and Brock. Thank you for your question. Farah Isa, 307 Ronald. When will the technician or the administration improve on the sound system during council meetings? On most occasions, when responding to the citizens' questions, the result is quite poor and the response could hardly be understood. Councillor Yulin, please.
Yes, thanks, Farah, for your question. I hope you can hear me. We actually have a new system tonight that should be more helpful. We've got these mics hooked up to a better system, so hopefully you're actually hearing this response. In future, though, you're absolutely right. We have had issues with this system since we began during the pandemic, and we're looking at an upgrade later in the year or in 2026. So that'll actually be in the hands of the new council, but we do recognize there are issues with this system. We're just hoping this upgrade we made tonight will at least help for the meantime. Thanks for your question.
Thank you for your question. Marissa Cesari, 416 Hudson. There's an ongoing issue for approximately 5 years with the town trees on my property. November 2024, confirmation by town person Nick of one tree to be cut. Arborist was on site along with Nick when this was confirmed. Since then, many back and forth with Marianne Pinard on this decision. Seems to be that there is an issue, seems to be that there isn't anything on record. Who's responsible to cut branches near hydro lines? Marianne not responding to emails, and Hydro confirmed receipt of my request several weeks ago, and to date no reply. If damage from tree roots, is the town responsible? Councillor Yulin, please.
Thanks, Marissa, for your question. So I can answer part of that, and I will do tonight, and then other parts of that question I'm going to send you an email later with some specifics. As far as who can cut branches around a hydro line, it's definitely hydro. It's not our team. We can't get anywhere near that, and nor can a regular tree removal company, maintenance company. So definitely hydro would be responsible for that. If there's damage from tree roots, is the town responsible? That'll depend on the situation in particular, so we would have to look and assess that. In terms of what's happening with the trees on your property and whether they need to be felled, whether they're healthy or not, I'm going to send you, I did hear from Marianne this evening about the correspondence you've had with her, and so I'm going to, when I get home tonight or tomorrow, I will put that in an email to you so you'll have more information about what's going on there. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much. Paul Kenton, 70 Brock North. The town is no doubt looking at various scenarios for the rec center debt. The 2023 loan bylaw was for an amount of $27,318,686. What are the current estimates for the final size of the loan, the likely interest rate, and its amortization period? Will the town be using the $5 million windfall revenues, that is the Easton, U-Haul, and Highway 20 land sales? For the past 2 years, the town budgets have identified tax increase due to the rec center. Were these increases based on interest or debt charges, interest and principal, for bridge financing, or what other things? Councillor Feeney, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question, Paul. I'll start off with the debt part, and then I'll talk about the increase on the tax bill. So yes, the resolution that was adopted in 2023 was for 27 million, as you say. What that is the maximum amount of the loan that was approved by the government that we're going for. We haven't actually gone for the specific loan yet. Since that time, we've been very successful in actually bringing on a couple of extra grants, the Power grant and the FCM grant, which is going to decrease the amount that taxpayers are going to have to pay as well. We're trying to work out a different payment plan from the grants that we're getting so that we can get them a little bit earlier and therefore not have to borrow the money quite as quickly. So it's still a work in process, and because of all these things, the final debt amount should definitely be less than $27 million. We hope we've been talking about an amortization period of 40 years. That also has to be approved, but that's kind of what we were basing our numbers on. And I think that's the end of the first question. So for the second question, the additional amount on the tax bill, what that was, so the first year it was specifically for the servicing the debt. We put aside the amount of the debt that we were going to pay specifically for the project. At that point, we had been paying a certain amount of money. We have actually been paying we've been able to pay out of our surplus and our cash flow since then, so that's been great. So the first year it was really the amount for servicing the debt, and this past year it was for servicing the debt and also for a little bit of the operations of the new rec center, as we had expected to be in operation a bit earlier. So that's how the money was determined. It's still within the amount that was approved by the residents in the referendum. So we're happy about that. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much. Richard Grenier, 60 Promenade Westland. Can I get a status on my request from April 2025 to extend the no parking zone on Bryn Mawr south of Avon email chain with Lawrence Malpennefather? Neither the police or town security are able to determine where the current limit lies. And what are the planned measures to protect pedestrians being implemented, and what caused the delays? Do we have a new target date?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Grenier. And as you know, we've had some back and forth for quite some time, and that the recommendation has gone forward from the Community Safety Committee to Council, and now back for verification in terms of extending the no parking zone on Bryn Mawr. And it's actually 7.5 meters from the intersection. So in terms of eliminating those, I think it's 2 or 3 parking spaces on Bryn Mawr. Appreciate you sending the photos as well, because that was definitely helpful. And as well as the planned measures to protect pedestrians be implemented. I believe you're discussing or raising the level crossing. Submissions are closing on the 29th of August. So we do have to respect timelines because it is a request for proposals, and then we have to open up the bids and see if the bids conform. So all of this has specific timelines and delays related to them. So we're hoping some of the things that might be a little bit easier to implement can happen sooner once all of those gates have been completed. But it's still going to be a couple of more weeks at least before we can actually start to implement some of those measures that we've raised from the June 12th, if that's what you're asking specifically, from the June 12th meeting from the traffic study that was done for the level crossing. Thank you, Mr. Grenier.
Thank you very much. Adam Levy, 50 Banstead. Can we please be provided with results of the traffic and safety study conducted in Montreal-West between 2020 and 2024 under Councillor Small-Pennefather? Specifically, what were the key findings? What concrete improvements were recommended? What is the timeline for implementation? As a resident, I've heard about this study for years and have no clear understanding on what came from the study and when recommended measures will be put in place. Councillor Small-Pennefather?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Levy. And I was looking through our old correspondence, and it's been a while since we've emailed each other. But I just want to make sure that there's a distinction between the traffic study that was undertaken by WSP was a very specific mandate because of the non-compliance by Transport Canada. But there was also a community safety committee, not a traffic study, but we had made recommendations with regards to the entire long length of Westminster, which I think it's 14 kilometers, no, the entire length of Westminster within the town limits, within our territory. But because of the urgency of the level crossing, it specifically targeted that area with as an additional priority, of course, is the Avon crossing where Royal West is. But we did have a number of recommendations that the Community Safety Committee made. It's not a 4-year study, however. It's something that we've done that was very punctual and that we did provide to Council in terms of recommendations. What you might be referencing is that during my mandate, of course, there are residents that have complaints about excessive speed or excessive volume in the town, and what we do is we then take a Doppler that's installed in that area for a specific amount of time for us to be able to determine if it's a volume issue, if it's a traffic issue, if it's a speed issue, and if speed, for example, is an issue, we can recommend that there is a speed bump. If it's an issue with volume, we could look at reconfiguration of some of the the way the traffic flows through certain areas. But those, again, are very specific when we get a request. And there are thresholds, of course, that are determined, and we do this with public security. And of course, the enforcement of that comes with working with the SPVM. In terms of enforcement, if there are speeding issues, we do have to have this SPVM enforce the vehicular code, which we don't have the power or authority to do as public security officers for the town of Montreal-West. But I'm just trying to kind of décortiquer 3 different kinds of traffic and safety issues that might be, you know, being balled into one, but just to kind of separate those 3. And again, we are looking at the measure specifically at the level crossing at mostly on the south side of town, but we have made recommendations for the entire length of Westminster with the SPVM and public security, of course, advising us with their expertise. Thank you for your question, Adam.
Thank you very much. Catherine Dixon, 8 Ballantyne South. Is it possible to make sure EXO and CP Rail maintain the clearance of snow on the Westminster sidewalk, since it is their idea to make all of us that live on the south side use that one and only passage? If not, sending them a non-compliance letter right back for not maintaining walkable passage. That's a good one. Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure. Thanks, Catherine, for your message here. It's a very good question, and you're absolutely right. We are not allowed to clear that. That is CP that has to clear that passage, and they don't always do a very good job. We all know that. And your suggestion is very well taken about sending them a non-compliance letter right back. So we discussed it in caucus, and that certainly will be our intention this winter if it persists, their non-compliance. So thanks for your question.
Thank you. Next question comes from Norbert Badouche, 457 Wolseley North. Westminster crossing again. Why has the Westminster Sherbrooke pedestrian crossing not been closed? It is one of the main reasons for the traffic to back up on the tracks, since most motorists do not seem to be aware that it's illegal and dangerous to stop on train tracks. And as a possible consequence of the rec center construction, there's been an increase in rodents in town. What actions are being considered? We'll start with Councillor Small-Pennefather for the first question, and Councillor Yulin for the second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your question, Mr. Baducha. So the Westminster crossing, if you were aware or not, we did have a presentation on June 12th with regards to the recommendations that came from WSP with regards to the level crossing. Everything has been posted on the website with regards to that particular area. And yes, the Westminster Sherbrooke pedestrian crossing, it's not quote unquote going to be closed, but one of the recommendations was removing the stop sign on the south
on the
southeast.
on the north side of
thank
the
you.
Yeah, on
The north. Yes, thank you. The north side. As you know, there's a stop sign on one side, and there's not a stop sign on the east side. There's a stop on the west side. So one of the recommendations that came from WSP was actually removing that sign so that it would be able to have better flow of traffic, which would make it safer for pedestrians to cross. But again, pilot project in that we have to actually see if that is something that's safe for pedestrians to do in terms of crossing that particular area. And again, I keep repeating this, when we all get our driver's license, everybody knows that you're not supposed to idle on the tracks, and you have to make sure they're clear before you attempt to go across them. So we do need enforcement, and we have had SPVM presence much more than we have in the past. And the way that you do that is to issue citations and to fine people for them to change their behavior, because we do know that is dangerous. So appreciate that first part of your question, Mr. Baducha. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure. Here to answer the rat question. Your question really is asking whether or not the new rec center construction is responsible for rats around town, and I could say we're confident to say no, that is not the case. I am probably the one who gets the rat emails, so I know that they come from 2 circumstances. One is in the commercial sector, where there are restaurants and other food businesses that don't necessarily dispose of their waste in ways that would discourage rats. So that's one area that we sometimes have concerns. And the other is where there's infrastructure around sewer work. And then, we do sometimes get rats poking their heads out and from their underground world. But those are really the two circumstances when rats become an issue in the town, and the rec center is not either of those, and we don't, in fact, get complaints of rat infestations in the area of the rec center. Actually, that's not an area that's ever been of concern, so I would say confidently that no, it's not the rec center that causes these issues. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much. Next question comes from Zofia Ekaterina Tarano, 232 Brock North. I was hearing from a few neighbors that the old bank on Westminster will become a Tim Horton. We're all worried about this and hope the rumors are not true. It feels like it is not in line with the more quaint community character of the street and town in general. I also worry about the impact it will have on our lovely independent coffee shops. Have they been notified? Thank you. First thing, the building that, the old Royal Bank building does not belong to the town. Whoever is doing that renovations there to put apartments and commercial space on the bottom, he has the right to rent to whoever he wants to, as long as it conforms with our bylaws. Our bylaws does not prevent a Tim Horton from opening up there. It's going to be a Tim Horton without a drive-through, so there's no drive-through there. And all of this sounds, this whole community, quaint community character of the street and town in general, that's very reminiscent of when people were complaining about the Pharmaprix wanting to come in. Pharmaprix came in, they've been a model corporate citizen. People were worried about the other pharmacy, hasn't been an issue. I visit like a lot of the coffee shops on Westminster, and they are all aware of things. They've all heard the same rumors that you have, and they're not concerned about that either. So I appreciate your concern. Thank you for your question. Jennifer Melnick, 140 Ballantyne South. I was wondering when the new traffic study initiatives will be installed on Westminster and Sherbrooke to Avon section. Is the plan presented at traffic meetings still what will be installed? Has there been any changes to accommodate bicycle crossings on the track? Councillor Small-Pennefather,
Sure.
please.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think you were here a little bit earlier for the demolition committee meeting. Thank you for this question. So I do believe that it was a similar question that was asked earlier on in terms of when these initiatives will happen, and we do have to wait for the process with regards to request for proposals, which is closing on the 29th of August, when those safety measures can be implemented. And like I said, if it's signage, it's something that we'll be able to do quicker, and we're hoping that it'll be done shortly. And again, the traffic in terms of accommodating bicycles crossing the track, similar to the gentleman in the audience that asked the question a little bit earlier, this is definitely a phased approach. So not only is it pilot, it's phased. Like, we have to be able to see some of the habits that develop over time, where drivers go, where pedestrians go, to see where the flow is. And then, of course, as we develop this more and as we're making some more permanent changes, we absolutely have to take into account the many bicycles and cyclists that we have that go through the town. And I think we all know that Westminster is not the safest place for bikes to be. So we'll have to really discuss. I believe our DG has a meeting coming up with the City of Montreal to discuss the bicycle path and where the best place for that could possibly be to connect with the network around the City of Montreal. So thank you for your question.
Next question comes from Odile Le Boiron La Douceur. The Westminster traffic study, January 2025, was circulated by the town without being signed or sealed by an assigned licensed engineer who, according to LinkedIn, was no longer with WSP at the time. The only signatory is not a licensed engineer and just started at WSP in January 2025 after graduating from Polytechnique in 2024 with very limited experience. Why did the town accept and release such an important safety study without the seal of a licensed engineer? How can residents have the confidence in the validity of this report without proper accountability? I looked up, I actually went on to the order of engineers to see the people that signed that report. That report was signed by two different people. One of them, Emmanuel, I'm trying to remember the last name, it's not, what is it? Yes, Emmanuel Felipe has been an engineer since 1999, has been registered on the OIQ since 1999. So I don't think that you could say that that's a new engineer, junior engineer, anything along those lines. There was another person that signed it that was other people that were involved in this. Because of the nature of the study, it's not just the engineering that's looked at. They looked at a whole, what's the word I'm looking for, Raphael? The whole process. They build urban planners. They look at urban planners. They look at the whole thing. So it wasn't just the traffic engineer that signed that. So since 1999, I don't know where you got 2025 or 2024 from. Thank you. Andy Malolepsy, 321 Brock North. With all the construction around and in our town, driving has been difficult at times. It would be nice to see the Easton project finish, so we could at least have some relief. Is it expected to finish soon? And if not, can the town encourage them to finish by school time? Mr. Malolepsy, I saw them. They have the forms in place to pour the sidewalks in front of the building now. So I'm assuming that'll be poured within the next couple of days. And I don't know that they're going to be finished just before school starts at the end of the week or the beginning of next week, but there should not be a lot of overlap at all. Mr. Knowles at 256 Percival. The Percival Park field behind EBS is brown and dry due to unnecessary cutting by the town. Furthermore, the infield grass was removed recently to create a dirt infield, even though it's not used by the mudheads or BS. All of this kicks up dust, destroys the clover, and incurs hours of town maintenance personnel that could be better spent elsewhere. When it rains, it turns the field into mud so that EBS kids avoid it. Could the maintenance schedule be drastically reduced and the infield digging stopped? Councillor Yulin, please.
Okay, thanks for your question, Harold. Yeah. So we had this request, a good request by you and a couple other people about the maintenance of the fields around town generally, and that they don't need to be mowed as often as they were being mowed. And so our practice now has actually reduced it quite drastically, so we don't actually mow all that often. In fact, with the heat waves that we've had over the summer, the grass hasn't practically been growing at all, so we've hardly had to mow. You're mentioning something about digging up the infield. I have no idea about that, so I will. Right, but you're mentioning that Public Works dug something up there. Honestly, I have no idea of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out, and I'm going to get back to you because. Okay, so again, I don't know, was it our guys? Why did they do it? I really can't answer you in a satisfactory way, and I don't want to just, riff on it. So I will absolutely want to check this out, and I'll get back to you. Okay.
Thank you very much. End of question period. Number 9, contracts in the town clerk's office. Amelia Enterprises renewal agreement, please.
Okay, hold on. I am still in this.
We won't even talk about her heels.
I'm getting there. Too much at one time. Okay. Whereas Amelia Enterprises, Inc. provides an online registration and membership management software in the form of e-commerce platform Amelia. Whereas the Recreation and Culture Department has been using the services of Amelia since 2015, and residents use it to register and pay for various activities. Whereas the current agreement must be renewed, and the company proposed the town sign a new one for the duration of 60 months. Whereas such a contract may be entered into by mutual agreement in accordance with paragraph 4 and subparagraph 6A of section 573.3 of the Cities and Towns Act, to the extent that its purpose is to ensure compatibility with existing systems, software packages, or software products, and for the supply of subscriptions. Therefore, I move that the town of Montreal-West accept the terms and conditions of Schedule 1 to the Master Agreement with Amelia Enterprises Incorporated, starting December 1st, 2025, until November 30th, 2030. Secondly, that the applicable fees before taxes be the following. Access fees, $3,900 per year until 2029-2030, $5,998 for 2029-2030. Service fees of 1% of monthly transaction revenues processed through the platform. The use of Smart Rec and analytics discounted from $199 per month to $0. payment processing fees, depending on the payment service provider, from 1% plus 50 cents per transaction to 3.85% plus 30 cents per transaction. And that the Director of Recreation and Culture, Mr. Chris Carney, be authorized to sign this agreement, that the expenditures be charged to budget code 02-715-00-499.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Administration and Finances, approval of disbursements June 28 to August 22, 2025.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the list of accounts payable from June 28th to August 22nd, 2025, totaling $3,661,454.69, and payroll in the amount of $644,375.75 from periods 22 to 26 be approved and paid.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. A seconder, please.
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Délégation des pouvoirs pour le mois de juillet et août 2025.
Oui, je propose qu'il soit approuvé les rapports de la directrice générale concernant l'exercice des pouvoirs délégués en vertu du règlement numéro 2005-002 pour le mois de juillet et août 2025.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. Demande d'aide financière, le développement des collections des bibliothèques pour des bibliothèques publiques autonomes. Ceci, c'est une demande d'aide financière. Ils l'ont fait déjà des autres années pour les 2 bibliothèques pour augmenter leur collection dans les bibliothèques. Même si les bibliothèques vraiment sont autonomes, c'est à travers la ville qui doit faire la demande. Alors, c'est nous autres qui ferons la demande pour eux. Alors, si je peux voir quelqu'un pour proposer.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose que la Ville de Montréal-Ouest présente au ministère de la Culture et des Communications du Québec, en partenariat avec les bibliothèques publiques de Montréal-Ouest et la Bibliothèque des jeunes de Montréal-Ouest, une demande d'aide financière au titre de programme d'aide au projet de développement des collections des bibliothèques publiques autonomes. Numéro de demande 551481. Numéro 2, que la Ville s'engage à respecter les conditions de la programme pour recevoir l'aide financière. 3, que la directrice générale de la Ville, Maître Raphaël de Stasio, soit autorisée à signer tous les documents nécessaires aux fins de les présentes résolutions.
Merci, la conseillère Small-Pennefather. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Colin Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Parfait. Site Planning, Projects and Architectural Integration Program, please.
I move to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on August 20, 2025. To approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 3943 Westminster North, replacement of one window. To approve with conditions under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 75 Strather North, replacement of 4 windows. 2 Rennie, replacement of 4 windows. 123 Westminster North, replacement of 9 windows. The main entrance door and transom, a patio door and a side door. To defer the examination of the following plans to a next meeting of the Council in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 136 Sheraton, removal of the flowered bed from the main facade, reconfiguration of main entrance, stairs and landing, replacement of railings. And last, to refuse the following plans in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 24 Radcliffe, replacement of railings on the front stairs and landing.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Emergency repairs on the water break on Avon and Westminster. On July 29th, a water break was on a valve near the intersection of Avon Westminster was reported. Cambeck Construction was hired to proceed with the replacement. A contract in the amount of $20,300 plus taxes that could be awarded without tenders. However, a second leak was found in a T-connector close by, which also had to be replaced. The new leak was more complex as there were 3 pipes connected to this fitting. Canbec offered to do it for a price of $27,325 plus taxes. Eastbound traffic was closed on Avon and corresponding detours via Ronald and Brock. Since this was an emergency, I authorized the awarding of this contract on July 31st in accordance with Section 573.2 of the Cities and Town Acts. Number 13, Human Resources, appointment of the Assistant Director of Recreation and Culture.
I move that Ms. Marion Scully be promoted to the position of Assistant Director of Recreation and Culture effective September 22nd, 2025, following the terms and conditions of an agreement signed by her and Director General on August 14th, 2025. Congratulations, Marion.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pena. Father, can I have a seconder, please?
I'm very happy to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Feeney. All in
Yeah.
favor, please.
Aye.
L'embauche d'une contremaître pour le service des loisirs et de la culture, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose que soit engagé Monsieur Jean-Marc Saint-Ville au poste de contremaître pour le service du loisir et de la culture, suivant les termes du contrat à une durée indéterminée, débutant le 15 septembre 2025, conformément à l'entente intervenue le 11 août 2025 avec la directrice générale.
Thank you very much. Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Violin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. On s'en va tout de suite au deuxième période de questions, second question period. You're invited to ask any questions, things just on the agenda. Thank you. And there were none submitted online, so if I could have somebody propose la levée de la séance, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Je l'appuie.
Merci, tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Parfait, merci.